How inspired was you by that video I sent you the other day, or that you watched that I recommended?
Very.
It was pretty good, right?
That was very inspiring. Ashley sent me a video of Mark Normand,
Hey.
and it was him basically on this like private video he has where he documents like him trying a new joke at an open mic, then at comedy clubs, then on the road, and then it finishes with him doing it at Carnegie Hall. And it's like the development of the joke and the bit like, you know, not working and then working. And yeah, it was very cool, very inspiring.
And how many iterations of the joke? That was what struck me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even when I've made a joke good, on the rare occasion, it's like it usually goes through maybe 3 or 4
iterations,
versions.
Yeah.
And then to see him be like, oh, he does about 12, 15, 20 different versions of the joke with different punchlines and different setups. And it's like, ah, shit.
Yeah, I'm slacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I said this to you earlier, but I felt really, really New York-y last night when I did 3 spots, and I was like, the first one, and I drove to the first one, jumped on, I opened the show, and then as soon as I finished my spot, I left that, went to the next one, opened that one, and then jumped off. And as soon as I finished that spot, I had to be at a club around the corner in like 12 minutes. And so I was like rushing to get to the club. And I was like, oh, this is cool. This is like, that's what it felt like in New York at the beginning, even at the open mic level. And so just to have that feeling of like you're rushing from spot to spot and you're getting in it, it was like, yeah, it felt really good. Yeah, really fun.
It is a great feeling when you're rushing from one spot to another spot.
It's the best.
It is a good
And then you
feeling.
make it, and then like halfway through the show, like a couple of the boys who were doing a spot around the corner, they finished, so they pulled up to the club I was at to hang out, and I was like, oh, dude, we're doing comedy!
Yeah.
Like all the boys were doing comedy, and it was great.
Yeah.
Really, really fun.
Yeah. Even when I did a spot the other week and I tried to get to Backstreet on Friday.
Yeah.
I was
forgot.
like, you were calling me, you were like, bro, I can try and hold off.
Yeah.
And I'm like fucking gunning it, going like 70. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I was hosting a show, and it was my boy Diesel and another guy, my boy Paris. They run this club, and neither of them could host it that night because they both had other spots. And so Diesel was like, "Yo, do you want to host it?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it." And so I was hosting it, and I had a few of the guys on, and we ended up like we had no crowd, and then we ended up barking like a whole crowd in, and it was like a decent room. And they were really up for it. But basically, like I said to them to do like longer sets so that we could stretch it out. But then Josh did like 10 and he didn't do, I was like, why didn't you do 20? And he was like, well, I didn't want to give them too much because they said they didn't want it to be a super long show. And I was like, yeah, but okay. So then Josh did 10 and then I was doing a bit of crowd work here and there. And then I can't remember who else.
George.
No, I know, but I'm wondering if there's anyone else other than George. Anyway, then George went on and he murdered. And I said like, I was from the back of the room. I was like roll on, just please. And then I'm outside. Ashley was meant to be there, but then your spot ran late.
Yeah.
And so he calls me and he's like, "Yo, I'm leaving now. Like, it should be like half an hour." And I was like looking at the watch, and I'm like, "Well, George has maybe 10 minutes left in him."
Maybe.
And like you're half an hour away, and I was like, "I can do maybe 10 minutes, but it's going to be a stretch."
But I still came. I still tried.
Yeah, because on the phone you were like, bro, it's going to be too. There's no way I'm going to make it. And I was like, fair enough. I was like, all right, cool, man. I'll see you tomorrow, whatever. Hung up, and then like 5 minutes later, you were like,
I'm coming.
You're like, I'm not fucking. I'm coming anyway. I'm gunning it. And you got there like just after the show finished.
Yeah, but I see 2 weeks ago or like a month ago, if that happened, I would have been like, you can go kill yourself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go kill myself as well. I don't care. But now I'm kind of back in the thing of like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. So
it's been so nice to see you back in the saddle, like back to doing spots and stuff. It's like it feels like having you back in the fray has been really fun.
I'm actually like, I've been writing a lot as well, and I've been like,
and just you seem better in terms of like your energy. You don't seem as like
Oh, I'm back.
edge.
I'm back, man. I'll finger you right now
Hell
if
yeah.
you ask me to.
I'm not gonna ask, but your girlfriend's in the next room, so you can.
Yeah, but I fingered her a bunch of times.
It's boring.
Yeah.
It's not me. It's not a fresh hole.
Yeah.
Not saying her hole's not fresh.
No.
I'm sure her hole's very fresh. I'm sure all the holes are as fresh as they come.
They are.
But
really
mine
fresh,
is new uncharted territory.
They've got that new car smell, everyone. No, I'm back, man. I'm good. It's good. A couple of the bits that I did the other day when you were there, like I'm fucking really fine tuning them, and I'm kind of getting back into that thing where it's like I'm excited to run the bits because it's like even one of the bits I did on Wednesday that you saw the app bit, and like I've been thinking of new tags for it, and I'm like, I fucking done. I actually want to try this. I actually want to get it done. So
getting the excitement,
it's good.
I've been feeling that recently where I've kind of just been I've been watching like a lot of comedy to try and get myself in the more artistic frame of mind to like come up with new bits, and I've been doing new material, but it's kind of old ideas that I'm kind of trying to re-experiment. I've got a couple of new-ish bits, but I'm in that kind of period of like, oh, I haven't had a new bit idea where I'm like, oh, I can't wait to run that bit.
Yeah, that's a good
You know what I mean? Like
feeling.
all the new material I'm running at the moment, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's coming along, it's
Yeah.
working. But like I haven't had that bit where like my voiceover bit, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah,
when I had
yeah.
that, I was like,
That's
dude,
funny,
this is,
yeah.
you know? Whereas I'm like, I'm waiting for that next hit
Yeah,
where
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, that's a bit, I can't wait to try it. I want to run it right now. You
Yeah,
know?
those are, I've got the joke about like the Saudi football league,
Mm.
and when that came to me, I was driving at work, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is it. I'm gonna make it.
That's also that's the thing that I
This is the
think
bit.
people that don't know much about comedy and the inner workings of like the community and the culture and stuff, like it's a big thing where every time you come up with a new bit, not like, oh, that could be a bit.
Yeah.
When you have that lightning moment of like, oh fuck, that's a bit.
That's
I
a
can't.
bit, yeah.
That moment is the best feeling in the world. But then every time it happens, you're like, that's the last one.
Yeah.
That's the last one I'm
Oh,
ever gonna
yeah,
have.
yeah, yeah,
and I'm in that period now where it's been like a few weeks, I'd say, if not more, where
Yeah.
I've like haven't had like a lightning moment bit.
Same.
And I'm just like, am I not funny anymore? Like,
Yeah,
you know?
but this is very like inside stuff. But that I think that's where like I've heard a lot of really big comics say like that's where the work comes, because it's
Yeah.
like now this is where you got to go and listen back to old sets and
Yeah.
read through old notes and try and recycle these old ideas that
Yeah.
probably aren't anything. This is like the kind of the grind of it where you're like, and that's
Yeah.
why, because I haven't really had any light bulbs. So I'm like going through old notes and I'm like, is there anything there? It's all very
Yeah.
boring at the minute. But, you know, when you do have that, but I will say as well, when you get the light bulb moment and then you try it and it doesn't work,
Oh no, it's awful.
there's nothing worse than
Yeah.
that. It's like,
And you're like, what is wrong with you people? You know, and this is gold. You're wrong.
yeah. I literally accepted a fucking award earlier in my bedroom in the mirror when I
Yeah.
thought this joke.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, thank you, thank my mum.
I can't remember where I was. I did a room about a few weeks ago, maybe, and I can't even remember what the bit was, but I had a bit that I was like, this is so funny. I'm so sure this is funny.
Yeah.
And I'd ran it like 3 times
Yeah.
in 3 different rooms, and it never landed. And I was like, but I was so convinced. And I did it one more time at a room, and it was a fairly packed room, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, and I just broke the fourth, and I was like, I know that you guys didn't like that.
Yeah.
And you're not the first group of people that didn't like that. There's been 3 other test groups before you.
Yeah.
But I think it's so funny. And I know I must be wrong, but I feel like you're wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so I'm hoping for the new bit.
But that's good. Yeah, so go on anyway. Because you've got some stuff to tell me. You've been keeping me in the dark.
Yes, I have.
I've been asking you.
Yes.
What happened here? What happened here? And you're like, I'll save it for the pod. So
Yeah, okay. So 2 things. One that happened a couple of days ago, and then one that happened at the start of the week. I'll save the one at the start of the week because we're on the topic of comedy, so I'll tell you the one from a couple of days
okay,
ago.
all right.
So basically, on Friday, I did a gig. It was a university gig.
Yes.
And it wasn't like an official university, like, you know, they've scouted it or something. It was put on by 2 of our closest friends in comedy, Bamf and Diesel. Great comedians, shout out them.
Love them.
They are both Somali, and so they wanted to put on an event for the society, the Somali society for this
Yeah.
university,
Yeah.
right? And
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong, right?
White guy, blue eyes. What could go wrong?
Dark humor.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
When you said it to me, when you were like, I'm doing that, I was like, I'm worried for you. But you are very likable.
When Diesel initially mentioned it to me, or one of them, Diesel or Bamf, one of them mentioned it to me, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I remember thinking, I was like, it's weird that you want to book me for this, because again, the demographic is not my target.
But they love you,
audience.
they rate you.
Yeah. And they were like, we think you're a great comic and we want to have you on because you're a good comic. And I was like, that's fine. But I was also thinking, like, and I'm, flattered, but I was like, this is going to be
Did you, what, 10 minutes?
15.
Oh,
Yeah.
15.
Dude, you have no idea what I'm about to say.
Okay, go.
You
go,
think
go,
you're?
go.
I love that you're going now because
Yeah.
just you have no idea.
No, but
what's
I'm
coming.
just thinking, I know you're 15.
Yeah.
I know most of it.
Right?
And I don't think that really transcends
Yeah.
like, into that scene very well.
So just you have no idea.
Yeah.
So basically, I was like, yeah, cool, it's gonna be sick. So it was planned like a month ago, whatever.
I'm just picturing you getting chased out of the room by a big mob or something. I'm
So-
just picturing it.
Get to the university, and we're meant to be in one lecture theatre, and then they're like, actually, we're going to put it in this lecture theatre. So I was like, okay, cool. We're all like, yeah, great. And there's a lecture theatre room, and then there's like a separate kind of classroom right next to it. And we were kind of using that classroom as like a green room. Right?
Where is this, by the way?
Queen Mary.
Where is that? Though? Where is that? located?
Mile End.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I thought it was nearer to here, but
No, it was East London. So anyway, so there's like a little classroom next to it that we're kind of using as like a green room, and then there was the main lecture theatre, right? They're setting it up. It's like a standard lecture theatre.
I saw a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, the rounded seats and stuff. And then there's the lecture theatre area. Now, bear in mind, in a lecture theatre, you have that big kind of clunky cuboid shaped desk.
Well, I wouldn't know, but yeah.
I wouldn't either because I haven't been. But when you've seen pictures,
I've watched films.
Yeah.
I've watched a movie.
You're a cultured man. Yeah. So you peeked in through the windows of lecture theatres. Being like, I wonder what it would be like to be educated.
Yeah, I've robbed university students before.
Exactly.
I've heard stories.
So there's like this massive like cube kind of shaped desk where they have like a built-in kind of microphone for the lecturer to use. There's like a computer on it. There's drawers and stuff. So it's kind of like a massive desk. Yeah. That's in the middle of the space.
Yeah.
And then there's like a tiny gap of stage space in front of that, and then there's just the chairs, right?
Yeah.
So
you got a microphone?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay, sorry. I'm jumping the gun here.
So basically, we go in and they're figuring out everything. First of all, that happens about 20 minutes before the show. They're trying to figure out all the lighting and stuff. There is a room at the back of the lecture theatre where they store like a bunch of lights and equipment and stuff. The person who runs that, like the maintenance guy, he's gone home because everyone leaves at 6. And the society doesn't have access to the room. So now we're making do with the room lights. So immediately, that's like a thing.
I've never been in a lecture room, but I'm guessing it's classroom-esque, like very bright.
It's very bright. I mean, it had a dimmer, so they kind of
very good.
Yeah, but the dimmer affected all of the light, so it was like like the crowd was a little bit darker, but the stage wasn't like super bright.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a weird mix, but it's like we're like fuck it, we'd rather have it a bit brighter so you can see us clearly than have it darker and
Yeah.
So the light wasn't ideal, but we're like, you know what, fuck it, roll with the punches. This is gonna be a great show. Blah blah blah. Right.
Yeah.
The room starts filling up. There's probably like, I think at max cap, they said it was like 106 for the room. I think there was probably 70, 80 people in there.
Okay.
Fairly full.
That's good.
Right? Fairly full.
Yeah.
The room's filling up. The room is, I'd say 90% hijabi women.
Well, I was just about to say, let's just make sure that's known. This is a Somali society show.
Yes.
There's no Gary and Greg and Dave.
Not a white guy in sight.
Except for you, right?
Except for me,
the only one.
Well, Dima was on the lineup as well.
But he's
Bulgarian, so he's trash white.
Yeah.
He's not,
yeah.
And I'm allowed to say that because I'm half Russian.
Yeah.
But anyway, so there's Dima, and also Dima looks like if he said he was like Algerian or something.
Yeah, he looks Arab. Yeah,
he looks Arab, so he could pass,
And he also is a bit of a scary guy,
exactly.
which I think just makes him seem more like
Arab.
Yeah, but he's just like, hey, motherfucker. So it's like it's not easy as an audience member. I wouldn't find it easy to be offended by Dima. Because I'd just be like, he's a fucking maniac.
Right.
You seem like someone I could be like, oh, this guy,
fuck him,
is a horrible person.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So the room's filling up. It's like 90% hijabi women. And then like some kind of there was some Somali guys and a couple of Arab guys and stuff. Not a single white person in the crowd. There was one Asian lady.
Okay. How the fuck did she end up there?
I don't know.
She's
Probably
lost.
hostage, right? Yeah, jinx. Okay. Anyway, so the room's filling up. About 5-10 minutes before the show starts, one of the organizers from the Somali Society, this young girl, she comes in. She goes, "Hey guys, so we can't get the microphone to work. So we're really sorry, but we're just gonna have to. You guys are just gonna have to talk." So
you're basically now
giving a lecture.
You're a lecturer.
I'm now a lecturer.
You're the white guy standing in front of a bunch of hijabis.
Yeah.
And you're going, this is what I think about this.
Exactly.
And let me educate you.
Exactly.
On this. You're basically.
I'm a colonizer.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's what I am in that moment. Yeah. So we're like, oh fuck, that's rough. But also, like, jokes aside, as a comic, that is awful because it means there's no mic, which means comedy relies a lot on, like, it's not, someone said, I told Max that yesterday at the gig and he was like, that's fine, I would love that. I was a theatre kid, I would love that. And I'm like, bro, I've done theatre too, but theatre's different because it's, you're meant to be, This is comedy. There has to be an element, like with the mic, if you're talking at the same level as them,
Yeah.
you can't control the room as much. Because when they start talking, you can't be like, just dominate them with your voice.
It's a power dynamic.
100%.
Because at the end of the day, this is why the optimal comedy situation is you're the lightest,
Yeah.
they can't be seen. You're the loudest,
Yeah.
and you're the highest.
Yeah.
You want to be
And I'm a
above
tall
them.
white guy with a loud voice, right? So I take all those boxes out of the back. Right?
Exactly.
So I was the loudest and the tallest and the best lit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Complexion, right?
You're a flashlight.
I'm Snow White.
You're a flashlight.
I'm a flashlight.
You're an iPhone flashlight.
translucent.
That situation.
Anyway, so they start the show. Banff and Diesel were hosting it together. Fair play to them. They're doing what they can with the room. And it's like, they're doing well. But like, because of the nature of the room, that's the other thing. That's the next step, which is like, already there's no microphone. So they're standing in front of this lecturing desk and they're kind of making it work. And they're doing their stuff. But because of the nature of the room, they're all very like shy, very conservative. No one's drinking, obviously.
Yeah.
And so when there are laughs, there's not like big thunderous laughs. It's like even when something does well, it's like a kind of there's titters.
Because
like,
also Somali hijabi women, you're saying it's 90%. They're very respectful. They're very
exactly.
I knew a lot of Somali girls in my school, and they're very quiet. They're very timid. They're very lovely people.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, that's a fucking blind. You know what I mean? They're not.
Exactly. They're not geezers.
No, you need white people in the crowd. That's what I'm saying.
You
No,
need
because-
a few Garys.
or some Beckys. Some loud
Beckys,
white
some Garys.
cunt that shouts and screams. You need some rupturous laughter in there, and that's not.
And some Jeromes and some Keishas.
You need
a few. You need a sprinkling.
I think you need some scumbags in any crowd. That's what I'm saying. You need some.
I don't know why when I said
no, but I'm talking about Becky. I'm talking about Becky and Dave.
Yeah, but when I said Becky and Dave, you didn't say scumbags.
No,
the minute I said let's get Jerome and Keisha in there, let's give them some. And then you're like, let's get some fucking scumbags.
I'm talking about Becky and Dave. Those are the scumbags.
That's really not.
Jerome and Keisha sound lovely. I'm saying we
lovely
need
scumbags. I bet, right? Jesus, man.
I'm saying you need some salt of the earth people.
Yeah.
You need your.
So black people are salt. They should be what? Putting salt on the earth? Is that like a reference to cotton pick? What? That's really.
Hey, can I just say you just fucked up there because you had me, but the fact that you just brought up the cotton picking, flipped the onus back onto you.
Wait, so you want to throw away something that was such an important part of history?
You're reaching.
So you want to pretend that never happened? Do you rather white out the history? Listen, man, look, you're digging yourself a hole. Let me just get back to the story. So
Barney.
I'm sorry about him.
Barney.
So Barney, keep that shit in as a lesson to this guy. So. Okay, anyway, the point is, it's 90% hijabi women. They're all so lovely. They're all very smiley. But again, it's not like big raucous laughter, right? So even when Banff and Diesel were doing it's like the room's not thundering out, right?
Of course, yeah.
But anyway, so they're doing well. They're bringing the energy up. They're doing a couple like sketchy bits, and they're doing material, and they're doing some crowd work and stuff. And like they're funny. They're great comics. So they're doing what they're doing.
And they're in their element.
And they're in their element. It's their community. Plus, a lot of the people in the crowd knew who they were because they've got a bit of a social following. So like that, was great. So they were really
lay up for them.
Yeah. So they were doing great. But again, they're doing great for the room.
Yeah.
You know,
of course.
Like I've seen them when they're in a proper room, like just murder. But like this wasn't a murdering room.
Yeah.
So they're doing their bit anyway. I think Salam went on first, and she is, I believe, an Ethiopian woman. So she's a woman. I think she's Ethiopian. So she went on first. I didn't watch her set, but she, I think when she came in the green room after, she said she felt like she bombed, but I don't think she did. I think someone said she's probably being harsh on herself. Again, as we all were because of the room.
Well, in that room, you're never going to come out and be like murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always going to be.
So she went on. I'm sure she did great. So she did her thing and then came off. And then they did some more crowd work. And then Dima went on. And Dima was like, what's up, motherfuckers? He's doing his thing. And like, he even was saying, he was like, it wasn't fully connecting. Like he was doing like, his drug dealer, I don't want to say his bits, but he was doing his drug dealer stuff. And again, it's like, it wasn't really connecting, And then at one point he just leans over to the lecture mic that was like attached to the desk. And he goes, is this on? Oh, fuck, it's on. Okay. I'm just going to talk like this now. I'm the teacher now. So he just starts fucking leaning. He's leaning over the desk doing his set with the microphone. I'm the teacher now. Yeah. So he then just kind of does a bit of crowd work and he's kind of making it work and stuff. And he does well as well. But again, well for the room, right?
Yeah.
So then he's doing his thing. Dima's hilarious. So he makes it work, comes off. And then they do a little bit.
Dima universally funny as well.
Yeah.
He's a universally funny guy.
Yeah. If someone ever says, someone hasn't, but I feel like if someone ever came up to me and was like, yeah, I don't really think Dima's funny, I'll be like, well, you're just an idiot.
Yeah, you know.
He's objectively hilarious.
He is objectively hilarious.
Yeah.
So I think you are like a real, a comedy fan would watch you and go, yeah, that's great.
Right.
But I wouldn't say you're universally funny.
Yeah.
I think he is just funny.
You have to be open to like my style of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
shocking a bit
Also,
and-
it's like it's an art.
Yeah.
Like, Dima is just, you just put him in a room with anyone and he's
Yeah.
gonna make everyone die laugh. And
Yeah.
he's just a funny guy.
yeah, and because he's nuts as
Yeah,
well.
he's a fucking maniac.
An insane guy. So anyway, so Demon does his thing, comes off, and then Limbs was headlining the first half. So Limbs goes on, and Limbs is fucking killer.
Yeah.
And so Limbs goes on, and
Great.
he literally, I was talking to him right before he went on in the green room, and he was just like, I mean, yeah, they're not going to have the material. Like, that you could just tell material wasn't working.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
one of those nights. So Limbs just goes on, and he's just leaning against the fucking lecture desk. He just does crowd work for like 10, 15 minutes, just kills. Kills. And I'm like, oh,
Fuck Lim.
Yeah,
Lim
I
is
know.
too good.
Limbs is
too good.
It's
He is.
ridiculous.
He is
And
too
so
good.
so yeah, shout out to Limbs. He fucking murders. And so he went on, and he's doing really well for the room. I think he did the best of the night.
Yeah.
I didn't see the last two acts, but I was like Limbs really did his thing.
Yeah.
But he does that, and then they go, right, we're gonna take a little break. I'm opening the second half. But now I'm like, oh, fuck.
You're opening the
I'm
second
opening
half.
the second half.
Okay.
And I'm like, fuck, Limbs has done all the crowd work.
Yeah.
Like, he was doing it for like 10, 15 minutes, and he was tackling like bare people throughout the whole crowd, and he was doing really well with it. So I'm like, there's only like, crowd work is kind of like a well, you know? There's only
You can't keep going back
You
to
can't keep going from that. Eventually the water in the well's dried up,
Yeah.
it's been taken. I can't now go back to this guy and be like, oh, so what are you studying? They'll be like, dude, the last guy I was talking about. You know?
Yeah.
So
I also feel like you, as the only white guy coming out and like just fucking going to all these Somali
Yeah.
people is like, it could be great.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you would do well. But it's a bit of I feel like
A minefield.
It's a minefield.
Yeah.
It's very easy for you to say something and them to
Yeah.
go, oh, fuck this guy. He's
Right.
a piece of shit. Yeah.
So Limbs does really well. They go, right, we're going to take a little 10-minute break, whatever, second half. So I'm now like, okay, I'm kind of like, I was kind of bricking it a bit, mainly because it wasn't because of the gig in terms of, oh, fuck, I'm scared about if these people don't like me or if I bomb. I was more like, because it's being run by two of my closest friends, I'm like, I don't want to let them down. I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a bad
You don't
show.
want to bring the vibe
I don't want
down,
to bring
yeah.
the vibe down. So I was more like feeling conscious of that.
Yeah.
And Diesel gave me a couple of lines. He was like, yo, you should say this to the Somali crowd. Like this, I reckon this could kill. But it was quite bold. So I was like, oh, fuck. So now I'm getting scared about saying that. Also, right before I went on stage, 4 kind of goonish looking guys walked in and sat in the front row. And I think one of them looked Mali, one of them looked Arab maybe. But I'm like, oh shit. If I now say this line and it backfires, they could rush me.
Yeah,
And I remember thinking to myself, I remember in my head, I didn't even say this. I remember thinking in my head, okay, if I say this line and for whatever reason they rush me, I'm like, right, okay, Dima's standing there, Limbs is standing there.
Yeah, bro, you got Dima.
Bamf
You're
and Diesel.
good, man.
I got
You're
Dima,
good.
yeah. So, you know. But anyway, so I go on.
I've had that exact same situation as well. There was
Yeah.
a group at the back, and one of his friends was like, "Oh, you have to say this. Ask him about this. Some kind of situation in
Yeah,
his life."
yeah.
I was like, "Cool, I'm gonna get him."
Yeah.
As soon as I go to say it to him, 5 of his boys walk in. They're like proper fucking road man. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Ah, here we go. But I did it and it was okay.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, I know the feeling.
Scary.
Yeah.
And because it was edgy as well. So basically, Diesel brings me on, and he sometimes does this. He was like, this next guy is a very good friend of mine. Da, da, da. He's half English, half Russian. So like, welcome. And I'm like, I've said to him before, I'm like, don't say half Russian because then they're expecting, I have connotations in their
Yeah.
head, and I don't want them to have connotations about
Like
me.
you're gonna come out and be like, "Hello, fuck you."
Yeah, or like I'm gonna come out and start a war or something. I don't- you know. But he mentions it sometimes. So he said that. So I'm like, right. So I was like, okay, fuck it. So I went out on stage and I was like, hello, good to be here. Are you guys having a good time? And everyone was like, yeah. And I was like, good. It's important to know that I don't actually speak like that. That's not my real voice. That got a big laugh.
Yeah, that's good.
So that did well. And I was like, cool. And then I was like, fuck it, in for a penny, I'll do the fucking Somali thing in it. And so the line Diesel gave me to say is he basically said, I went on and I said, I can't lie, I'm not Muslim, but looking at a lot of the sisters in here, I might have to revert, That got a big like, they were like, so that kind of got him a little bit. That did well.
That's a good line.
That did well.
That's a good line.
And then this was the bolder line, which I was nervous about saying this. 'Cause I'm like, this could go the wrong way. But Diesel was like, nah, trust me, because he told me the line, and he was like, you should say this. So he told me to say that line. That did really well. And then he told me to say this line.
I'm scared.
And I said, so I went out upon Diesel's suggestion. I went out after that first line. That did well. And I was like, I had a lot of Mali friends in school, and I remember a lot of my friends used to call me the white Somali because I look quite Somali. Do you guys see it? Do you recognize it? And then the whole auditorium was like, no, we don't see it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I turned around and pulled my jeans up and showed my jeans, my butt.
Yeah.
And I was like, what about now? And then everyone went, ah!
I killed.
And then I went, like that. Like, killed. I hit the,
No way. Udia.
Killed.
Oh
bro.
my God.
And I'm like, that's going to go one of two ways. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
But they loved it and it killed.
And then you did your rape jokes and it
No. So then I did, I've got this Muslim joke that is like you would only laugh at the joke if you understand Islam and if you understand Muslim culture.
Yeah.
And so, and I've done a lot of research and a lot of learning into it. I talked about that before. I spent a lot of time learning about Islam. I've got a lot of Muslim friends. I've been to mosque. I've done Jummah. I've done wudu. I've done all of this stuff. So I know a fair bit about Islam from someone who's not Muslim.
Yeah.
And I've had this joke idea for like a year, and I've never been able to run it because it would never work in any
somewhere
room.
else. Yeah.
But I'm like, this is an entirely Muslim crowd.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to run this
You
joke.
got to do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
And so I did the Muslim. I won't say it now because it's kind of it won't make sense. But I was like, and also it's not an offensive joke or anything, by the way. It's like a little niche, like nuanced thing. Like if you understand like the mosque and stuff, it'll be like, oh, cool. It's like a little throwaway thing. But I did that. That did quite well. And I was like, okay, cool. But then I'm like, after all of that, I'm like, okay, now I try going into a bit of my regular material, and it's like going okay, it's all right. I'm holding their attention.
But you've set the bar too high. You've come out, you hit him with you come with the niche Muslim joke. Now you're going into like, and here's what I think about it, and they're like, he's just a white guy. We thought he was one of us.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
So I hit them with some of my standard club stuff, not offensive stuff, just some mechanics, you know. And it's going okay, and I'm holding their attention. It's getting some laughs. Some of them I'm looking at, especially the guys, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me with like a dead face. They're just like, they're so fucking like, fuck this, you know. But the girls seem like fairly into it, and I'm doing my thing, and it's actually going okay. I tried to do a bit of crowd work at one point, but that well was kind of tapped out. So I was like, all right, cool, won't do that. Went back to doing my material, and it was actually going fairly well. Like I had their attention. They weren't laughing much, and they weren't laughing super loudly, but when a big punchline did come, they would like respond, and it did get a decent laugh.
Okay.
So I was doing quite well. Bamf and Diesel were like, when after the show, they were like, you killed, that you were killing. I didn't feel like I was killing because I was like, I'm not
But
killing.
again, that room.
But in the room, I was doing very well with no mic to a completely Muslim crowd. You know, I was doing quite well for what could have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm going and going. I'm losing track of time. I don't know how long I'm doing. They said just do like 10, 15, whatever you want. And I was like, all right, cool. So I'm kind of going loose. But I forgot to set my timer, so I didn't know how long I was doing. And I hit my dog bit, which I normally close on. I hit that fairly early on because I was scared of like, I don't want to lose the fucking momentum. So I dropped that fairly early, and it did all right. But then I'm like, fuck, that's my closer. So I'm like, you know, so I keep going, and it's going like pretty well. And I was then getting into a bit of a flow state, and I was kind of feeling myself, and I was like, okay, fuck it. Now before the show, Bamf and Diesel were talking to me, and we were chatting about, you know, material and stuff. And I said to them, I was like, I think I want to do my CNC bit. And they were like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I'm probably not going to do it. I was like, I'll do it if I'm doing 15 and it's going, because basically they were like, look, if it's going averagely or badly, just do a loose 10. If it's going really well, do 15, whatever, you know. And I was like, cool. So I was like, look, I'm not going to do my CNC bit unless it's going really, really well and I'm, you know, whatever. And they were kind of like, it's on you, it's on your head if you want, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, cool.
What is wrong with you?
Well, that's what George said to me. So basically,
but what is wrong with this is why you need people like me and George in your life. Because if you called me and told me that, I would have come and slapped your fucking cheeks. Because that's stupid, right? I don't care if you were Dave Chappelle murdering people were falling out their chair, fucking begging for your autograph. Yeah. That was never going to work.
Yeah, but I'm a comic.
I know.
I'm a comic, and I wanted.
Come on, man.
I wanted
that's suicide at that point.
Well, but I had them on side, right? But here, let me tell you what happened. By the way, for people listening, right? CNC is my like most shocking joke. It's actually I was talking about.
It's not that bad.
But this is the thing. I was talking about this with B the other day when I was recounting the events of this gig to her.
Yeah.
I was talking to her about it, and she made a great point where she was like, the joke is actually not offensive.
No.
It's not offensive at all.
No.
It's shocking. It's very shocking and like, whoa, but it's not actually an offensive joke. Yeah. And I'd never thought about it like that until she said it to me.
B is of the same mindset of us though. And I will say...
Well, she is. She loves dark humor, but she's also a hardcore, like she's a feminist.
No, I agree. Holly is the same. But what I will say is there are people that find that would find that offensive. And
100%.
in its actuality, it's not. It's like a lot of my stuff. It's not offensive.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not actually saying anything offensive.
But because the subject matter, people
it's a
will take
buzzword.
it. Yeah.
People hit a buzzword. They go, "Oh, that's what they find offensive." They go, "You're joking about a serious topic."
Yeah, exactly.
That's the offensive.
Exactly.
But also,
Yeah.
you know, don't do it in that room,
Right.
regardless of if it's offensive or not. Right?
Well-
anything sexual in a room like that,
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch.
Okay, so anyway, some of us are made of stronger stuff, right? So I'm in my set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, 13, 14 minutes in, and it's going really well. And so I was like, I finished my bit, and then it got a laugh. And I kind of paused for a second, and I was in flow state, and I was like, all right, fuck it. You know?
Did you actually say, all right, fuck it?
And I went, so guys, I've got this bit that I do whenever I perform at clubs or around the UK or whatever. I've got this bit. It's kind of like my big closer. And by the way, for context, earlier in the night, Lim said to the crowd, he was like, how many of you have actually like been to a comedy club before? One American guy put his hand up. So none of them have been to comedy before. And also, they're not comedy fans. You're not doing it to a room. The only thing they have in common is that they're Somali.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not there to appreciate the craft of comedy. They're there, to them, comedy is like, on TikTok when someone does a meme
Which
about
is how they would know these
when you
or
forget your
about-
bus pass, oh my God, I was so embarrassed, I nearly missed my lecture. Like that's what they think comedy is.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that to a room of non-comedy fans who have never been to a comedy club before. So I had to give context. So I said, look, when I go to comedy clubs, you know, around London and the UK, whatever it is, this is my big kind of finale. This is my big closer that I do.
You didn't. You actually laid out like this.
Yeah.
This is the big one.
I had a
guys.
conversation with them.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get consent. So I said, look.
You wanted to get consent about consent, non-consent.
Yeah. I wanted to get consent about consensual non-consent.
That's funny.
So I said to them, I was like, this is my big closer. I was like, but I'm so aware of the fact that none of you have been to comedy before. You're not really like into comedy or aware of like how comedy works.
A lot of you are religious.
And also I know it's obviously I'm just a religious room, and I'm not here to upset anyone or anything. But I am a darker comedian. I have a lot of very dark humor. This is how it works in comedy clubs. Like I'm setting it up like this, right? I'm saying all this stuff, and I was like, so this is normally my big closer. Bamf and Diesel told me not to do this joke, and that got a big laugh. And I said, I'm serious. Like literally before the gig, I said to him, and I said to Bam, I was like, I might do it. And he goes, Wallahi, don't do it. And because I said Wallahi, that made them laugh.
Yeah, that's
like,
funny.
And that laughed. So that got a good laugh. And I said, so look, I will leave it up to you because I don't want to hurt or offend anyone. But this is what I do. This is my thing. So
that's a leading statement.
No, it's actually not.
I feel like when you set that up to a room, they're gonna go, yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Well, but but still, the point is that I've asked for consent from the room. I've said this is what it is. I've said this is a very dark, very shocking, like very offensive joke. But I'll leave it up to you if you want me to do it. The whole room unanimously was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I kind of looked off to the wings where Bamf and Diesel were, and I could see they had their heads in their hands. And I was like, they said.
Yeah. So come on, get to the fucking thing. Let's hear it. What happened?
So I'm doing the bit. The first half of the bit, like when I explained the premise, people are already gasping. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
One guy in the front.
Just remind me, what's the opening line to that bit?
The opening line actually isn't offensive, but it's basically I'm like, I met this girl on a dating app, and then we were having phone sex.
Yeah, but already that's probably too much for 90% of the people in that room, right? Yeah.
But they weren't like, oh my God, they were like, oh, you know? So like, yeah, I know, like, they were like Japanese. Yeah, they all became Japanese. That's like French.
Oh, God,
anyway,
this
so
is painful. Go
I
on.
mentioned the subject, right? One guy who's right in the front row, he immediately just gets up and just walks 4 rows back and takes a different seat.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
That's really not good.
But all the crowd, again, they're kind of like, there's a lot of smiling faces. They're kind of like, oh my God, kiki. But they're not like giving me evils, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm setting it up and I say the buzzword and the premise, you know, and then they go, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, relax. The whole room, in between every line I'm saying, they're like, oh, there's like a massive hubbub. So I have to be like, guys, relax, let's finish. You know? So I'm setting up. And it's getting progressively like, but there are laughs.
Yeah.
And that's important because it wasn't that I wasn't looking out to a crowd of like 80 people who were all scowling at me being otherwise I would have parachuted it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they're kind of like, but they are laughing.
Yeah.
Like they're with me throughout the joke. So at one point, I'm halfway through.
But there's a lot of shock. There's a lot of
shock,
horror in
a
the
lot of
room.
shock, but also horror with like a smiling face, like, oh my God, can you what?
Yeah.
Like I'm frying their brains.
Yeah.
But it's not. They're not like, oh my God, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going halfway through, and they are with me on it, and then there's one bit halfway through that gets like a decent laugh from them, and then Diesel goes, "Hey, oh," and he goes, "Hey, quit while you're ahead," and then that got a laugh, and I was like, "Nah, fuck that! I'm halfway through, like I can't stop now." I'm like, I can't.
You should have stopped.
I should have stopped. But I didn't. And also, I have to say,
This is such a comic state of mind.
100%. And that's the thing, man. I was in the zone where I'm like, look, it's been going well so far.
Yeah.
The set as a whole. B, the joke as a whole has been going better than I thought.
Yeah.
It's been going all right. They have been laughing.
Yeah.
And C, I'm a fucking comic. I ask consent. And I'm not going to just bail on the joke halfway through.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fucking see it through because I'm a comic and that's what I do. I put my fucking balls on the stage. I'm like, fuck it. It's going to go how it's going to go.
Do you know what it is? Well, just for context, in every comic, there's a small, because I've not done a room like that, but I've done rooms where I know that it's not the right room.
Right.
And you go, yeah, but they kind of like the other stuff. I can make them want.
Yes.
I can make them enjoy this.
I can
there's
change
that voice.
them.
Yeah, there's that voice in there where you go, I don't think anyone else in the world could make this work, but I think I can.
Yeah.
There's that little voice in there where you're like, I can do this.
Yeah.
So that's
and
where
normally
you're at.
you can't.
Yeah, no,
and I
you
don't
never
mean you.
can.
I mean
Yeah.
we can't.
No, you never
can't.
can,
One
yeah.
cannot in general.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's going halfway. So then he's like, fuck it, quit all your head. I'm like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna commit. So I keep going. And then I say like the first big punchline, which is where I'm not gonna say the line because I don't want to ruin the joke, but like I'm miming like masturbating.
Oh,
right?
I know.
And I'm screaming that sentence.
You're screaming a word.
I'm screaming a word, but I'm screaming a sentence. It's a whole,
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I'm like, fuck it. And bear in mind, the first row of seats is probably like where the camera is, right? So I'm like,
again, no mic,
no lighting, and it's just a sea of hijabi women.
You're the first person to ever fake masturbate in that room.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They're gonna have a plaque of me on the wall. They're gonna give me one of these. I should have brought this out as a prop.
Oh my God.
Bring out the fist toy, So anyway, so I'm doing this. I'm like, they lose it. They're like, they're like fucking. But again, they're not like boo or like, what the fuck. They're not angry. They're just like,
they're shocked.
I've melted their
they're shocked.
brains.
Yeah.
So they're like, what? And so that's happening. And then I say the final punchline, but because there's so much like hubbub from that line, it kind of just gets lost in translation.
Yeah.
So it's
probably a good thing, right?
It's probably a good thing. So it doesn't really land. Yeah. And so anyway, there's all this like crazy pandemonium and they're just like, it's like the fucking last days of Rome.
Yeah.
Everyone's right. And I'm just standing there with like a big grin on my face, like that.
No mic as well.
I know.
Nuts.
And then eventually all the noise dies down and I'm like, so yeah, that was the CNC bit. Anyway, I've been Ollie. Cheers. Bye. And I just...
Applause?
Yeah, applause.
Okay, so
got applause.
Okay.
Got applause. And then Bamf and Diesel went out and did some fucking, when white people fucking, whatever. Yeah. And they tried to kind of stabilize it or whatever.
Who followed you?
Nancy.
Okay.
But again, it was one of those, like, I watched the first part of Nancy's set and she had a bit where she talks about how she's a single mum, for example, and she was like, I'm a single mother. And the whole crowd started like clapping. Yeah. And they even did that in my set when I did the thing about quitting drinking and stuff. They all clapped. And I'm like, it was that like, I remember wanting to scream at the crowd like, this is not a lecture. Yeah. We're not just telling you stories about our life. Yeah. There is a punchline. And then, and then a punchline drops and they don't really laugh at it. And you're like, no, this is not a support group. You don't have to make us feel better with claps.
It's a room full of non-comedy fans in a room that's not set up for comedy.
Also, Dima made a good point to me because Dima, I had another spot I had to rush to after. So I didn't see the rest of Nancy's set and I didn't see AJ Rose was headlining.
He's good,
he's good. So I didn't see his set. So I had to get to my next spot and Dima was driving me. And we're talking in the car and I was kind of in my head because I felt bad. Because I was like, oh, fuck, did I ruin it, whatever. And because after I went in the green room and Bamf was like, why'd you do that? And I was like, oh, fuck, man. I don't know. They were liking it so far. And he was like, yeah. But then Diesel came in. They were both like, you were killing for 14 minutes. And then you just, and I was like, I know. But then it was fine in the end. And Bamf was like, I've thought about it. And, you didn't do it with bad intention or anything. And also they apparently at the end of the night, they loved the night. The society DM'd them and they were like, we've never had an event like that before. We definitely want to do that again. That was amazing. We loved it. So it was all great. But I was driving to my next gig and I was kind of feeling, type of way. And I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to fuck it up and I don't want to ruin it for my friends and blah, blah, blah. And then Dima was making a point about like, cause I was like, it's a hard room. It's not a comedy room. And Dima was like, well, also you're doing it to a room of people who haven't really experienced life. Like at one point I said to them, I was like,
that's a great point.
yeah, I was like,
Dima said that.
Dima said that.
Dima said that.
He was like, bro, I'm talking about the whole drug dealer thing, and he's like, they're looking at me with like blankets because they've never even done drugs, let alone been near a drug, like, you know.
Dima surprises you sometimes. He lived a life. He's quite wise.
Dima has lived a crazy
I know, but
life.
he's that brings
wise beyond his
that
years,
brings
yeah.
wisdom. But like
100%.
when you first meet him, you go, he's like a caveman.
Exactly.
You don't think he's gonna drop wisdom on you.
But he's wise.
Yeah.
But he was like, you know, and I was like,
That's a great point.
And I was like, that's a good point. I said to the room, I was like, anyone here in a relationship? And then I realized, I'm like, and the whole room's silent. And I was like, oh yeah, shit. Yeah. So it's like, you know, everyone in there.
There's an innocence.
There's an innocence there. They've all lived with their parents. They haven't like, you know, and they're all very conservatively religious as well. Yeah. So it's difficult to do material about like the big wide world, I guess, in a way. Not to sound patronizing, because it's not meant to.
No.
But it's just like you're talking to people
who
who have a very particular set of experiences and ideals. So it's very difficult to breach that barrier, I think is what I'm saying.
And again, but even the not going to comedy before is part of that.
Oh,
because
hugely.
Even just going to comedy,
you know,
they would be exposed to, you know, other people talking about certain stuff. They've probably never even heard someone say the word that you say in that joke. Do you know what I mean? Like it is a big stretch, which is why you're a fucking idiot for doing that. And I would have advised you strongly against it. But I kind of respect it. I respect the balls and the idiocy of it.
Well, I went to my next gig and some of the guys were there and fucking they were like, what happened with the gig? And I told them, and they were like, you're a fucking idiot. Dude. And I was like, and then later on I got a call from George as I was driving home from my second gig. And he was like, yo, I was like, what's up? And he's like, you're on speaker. I'm at Mode with everyone. Adam's here. And he told us about, you've got a crazy Somali story. We want to hear it. So you're on speaker, tell it. And I was like, all right. So I told him the story. And then they're all like, what the fuck? And then George was like, you are a fucking moron. Yeah. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot. And I was like, I don't know. But yeah, so
I respect the bollocks.
That was crazy. But that was only the second craziest thing that happened to me this week.
Oh, fuck. You know what? When you teased this earlier, I was like, what is he banging on about? But I actually remember now.
Yeah.
So, because I've got a bone to pick with you about this as well.
Okay.
Because we spoke about this briefly, and I had a go at you for something, if you remember.
I can't remember. Okay, well, let me set it up, but I can't remember what you're about to say.
Backstreet.
Yeah, no, I remember at Backstreet, but I can't remember you. I don't know what the bone was or whatever. But let me set it up and then keep that thought.
Go.
So, on Monday, I did magic mushrooms for the first time.
Yes.
I've never done psychedelics before. I smoked a fair bit of weed when I was in high school.
It's not psychedelic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's got
it's
more
psychoactive.
I was about to say it's got more psychoactive properties than people give it credit for.
Yeah.
But I've never done like a psychedelic before.
Now, can I ask? Are these are these truffles, chocolates, or are they like dried mushrooms?
The dried mushrooms, and then put it in like a drink. You know.
Oh, you made a tea out of it.
We made like a lemon. It's like called lemon tacking or something. You put like lemon juice or whatever.
Two little girls sipping on a tea. Huh?
Well, no, there was no tea. It was actually lemon juice. Okay. So you know, it's the whole. It opens out. You wouldn't understand. It's scientific, but there's no builder's brew or something. Anyway, so I did magic mushrooms for the first time, and I've always been curious to try it, and I was really scared for a long time to try psychedelics, because it's that big fear of like once you're in it, and then it's the panic of being locked in a bad trip and just being like, what if I lose my mind, and what if I'm stuck like that forever, and all that kind of shit. Yeah. I was really scared for a long time, but something was just pulling me towards it for a while, and I was like, you know what, I think I want to try it. Have you done them before?
I've done them once.
Okay, so I was really scared. I'd never done them. But I thought this is different to LSD. LSD lasts like 12 hours. Yeah. Mushrooms last like 4 to 6.
They're also natural.
They're also natural. Yeah. And all the data for like mushrooms compared to LSD, it's like LSD, there has been cases where there's been long lasting effects and things like that. With mushrooms, all the data shows that like there's actually no evidence to show there's any long lasting.
It's also used in a lot of things now. Like they use it
like
for
mushroom
all kinds
therapy,
of
anxiety, depression, addiction.
I'll say as well, just quickly, the thing that the fear of like the bad trip I had as well before I did it, but you know what the main fear I had was loving it and becoming that mushroom guy.
Right.
These are the fears I have. I always think like, because a couple of my friends have done like the not DMT but ayahuasca or something, and it changed my life. Then I'm like, yeah, but you're that guy now. Do you know what I mean? That's all
you're the guy who did ayahuasca.
I don't want to fucking be that guy. Like I have that fear of everything. I don't want to love it so much that it like. That's like imagine if you do mushrooms and it cures you of like a thing that you've been inflicted with. Of course, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is everything to me. It's like I kind of just want to be a normal guy.
I remembered the bone you had to pick.
Yes.
But anyway, so we did it, and And it took like, basically, I did a gram. And then after like 45 minutes, I was a bit giggly, but it hadn't like, I wasn't tripping or anything.
That's what I had when
I really wanted to trip. And so I was doing it with my girl. And so she was like, well,
has she done it before?
She's done it before, but also she doesn't get the trippy. It doesn't affect her in the trippy way. Like she gets like the giggly stuff and the relaxing stuff, but she doesn't get like the crazy hallucinogenic, like psychedelic-y stuff. And I knew, by the way, that she was the person I wanted to do it with because she's super fucking calming.
I was just about to say.
She's very relaxing. She's also a therapist, so that helps.
I do it with her. She's a very calming presence.
Yeah, and she just feels like she's very safe. And she's the kind of, and she made a real effort to be like, you know, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And she taught me through it a lot before and stuff. And that I remember thinking, I was like, if I'm going to do it with anyone, I'm going to do it with her. So we were doing it. So I did the first gram, and then I was kind of like, after like 45 minutes, I was kind of a bit giggly, but you know, a bit stoned, right? But I wasn't like anything else. So then she was like, well, look, if you want to top up, you can do 1 more gram. And I was like, okay. She's like, but you have to do it.
Final words.
But you have to do it now because if you do it after you've peaked, it won't have an effect. There won't be a point. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. But I was starting to feel giggly and like good. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll do the other one. You know?
That's everyone's drug story ever. It's always like, you start feeling good and you're like, I can fuck it. Let's keep going.
Let's kick it up
keep
again.
This train going.
So I fucking, I drank the 2nd gram or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, that tastes nice." You
know? Why do you make everything gay?
And then it's affecting me a bit more. I had a shower.
Oh, I bet that's amazing.
A shower on mushrooms.
I bet that's amazing.
Unbelievable. It hadn't fully kicked in at the time I had it, but I was still like, I was coming up, and it was a bit giggly. Dude, the water, I didn't want to get out. The water was like,
I bet that is nice.
It was a dream. But as I'm coming up, I'm like, this is great. Then it really kicks in, and we go in the garden because all my friends that had done it, they were like, make sure you're in nature as much as possible. So we're sitting in this little garden. The grass is suddenly super green. The sky is super blue. We brought the speaker outside. We're playing music.
What music?
Oh, dude, we were playing like 60s, 70s, like hippie shit. It was, it was amazing. And I felt like, I actually felt like I was on Mandy. I felt like I was on MDMA.
Have you done MDMA
yes.
before? Yeah, same.
It felt like Molly. It was like, oh my God, my whole body felt like syrupy.
Like vibration. You love everyone. You love everything.
And I felt like I was just coming the whole time.
I've never heard someone explain it like that.
Dude, it was amazing.
I felt like I was coming the whole thing. You're just cross-eyed the whole time.
Dude, it felt like that. It felt like that. I was at one point, I was just like, oh, this feels so good. And I was like, the music was just hitting, and I was like, the grass is green. And I had my hand on like my girl's like leggings, like on her legs, and I was like just stroking them, and I was like, this feels so soft. And I was like, everything's amazing. And I was like, I want to be like this forever, you know? And I was like, I understand drug addicts now. Because I'm like, I would fucking sell my whole family
Heroin
to feel like this.
Is supposed to be like the craziest
that's
thing
the
of all time.
Dude, I said to my girl, I was like, there's no way heroin can be better than this. This feels like, I know, but I'm like, this feels like, oh my God. Like it felt like that Molly feeling where
it's euphoria. That's what it is. It's euphoria.
So I was like, there's no way heroin's better than this, but apparently it is. But
I know a few people that got no teeth left. Let's just put it out. I know a few people that have sold everything for that to chase that buzz, mate.
So I was feeling incredible and happy.
Now, did you? I know you said things were bright. That's what I had. I had a lot of brightness. Did you see it? Because I've not really heard any direct stories of anyone where they've seen some shit in front of them.
I've heard, the thing I heard a lot was that things are going to like pulsate. Like
I got that. I had that.
So I had that.
Yeah.
So I started looking at the plants, and they were kind of pulsating a bit, and I was like, wow. At one point, it looked like there was a cloud in the sky, and it kind of looked like a dragon.
Yeah.
And it was just great. And I was just feeling like it was a bit trippy, but I was just feeling good, you know? And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And we're outside, it's sunny.
Oh, you did it during the day?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I wanted to do it when it was sunny, so that I had all the good energy and the vibe. And it was sunny,
yeah.
So we're doing that.
I was picturing night.
And by the way, right, I thought you'd appreciate this, and I did this for the pod. So at one point, I called George.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man. And he was like, you're right. And I was like, dude.
George,
like,
the worst guy to speak to.
And he was like, no, he was great. He was like, what's up? And I was like, dude, I'm on shrooms, man. He's like, oh, he knew I was going to do the thing when he was like, oh yeah, you're on shrooms right now. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, and I was like, dude, he's like, it's good, right? And I was like, dude, I feel fucking incredible. And he's like, yeah, all right, I love you, bud. And he's like, love you too. And I hung up, and then I called Diesel, And I was like, hey man, and he goes, yes, you good? And I was like, and then B was like, oh, he's extra good. And he was like, yeah. And she goes, yeah. I was like, yeah, man, I'm on shrooms right now. And he's like, is it? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, okay. Well, bro, make sure you're good. Just remember you're very loved. I love you lots. You're my brother. I love you. Everything's great. And I was like, I love you too, man. It's so good. And he's like, have a great time. I was like, yeah. So I hung up. And I went to call you. And then I was like, actually, no, I'm going to save it for the pod.
Yeah.
So I didn't call you. But then I was taking, so one of my friends said, he was like, make a WhatsApp chat with yourself and voice note.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Ollie, man. Go on.
So I have a couple of voice notes.
How many?
Like 3, 4 from when I was on shrooms. And so I thought it would be funny to save
Are these
them.
notes to me or are these just
No,
thoughts?
to me.
Okay,
I was just
thoughts.
documenting how I was feeling. So I thought I'd save this for the pod.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
So these are voice notes of me.
It's just going to be you sounding like you're coming.
Exactly. So these are voice notes of me on mushrooms.
Okay.
All right. I just drank the mushrooms about 1 minute ago. So we'll see how we go. This feels really, everything's really bright. This feels incredible. My whole body feels like syrup. Everything's funny, you know? The one just now, the letter by the Box Tops.
Thank you.
Is really good. What? Oh yeah. Why? This feels like heroin. Like, there's no way heroin can be better than this. This feels incredible. Oh, that's so good.
I don't want to play the song because I don't want to get copywritten. Hang on, wait. I had an idea for a bit and then... Wait.
I bet that idea was great.
Huh?
I bet that idea was great.
I've been running it.
It's
been alright.
actually good.
It's been
I was
alright.
going to be like,
it hasn't landed yet.
yeah.
It's been alright, but...
I can see why they came up with words like groovy, you know?
I fucking hate you. You knew I'd hate that bit as well. You've been proper waiting to... You knew I'd hate that. Oh.
Wait, let me play this bit.
Because I see why the 60s
Right.
happen, man.
Oh, I hate that so much.
Oh, no, let me reload it.
I can see why they came up with words like groovy, you know? Because I see why the 60s happen, man.
Oh.
It's so good. So good.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Your thing stopped.
I don't know what this one was. Oh, that's just music. Yeah.
You sound like Forrest Gump.
I'll tell you what, the 60s
remember,
happened,
man. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh fuck. Well, I'm happy you enjoyed the experience, but I really fucking hate you sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
just the I can see why they thought of words like groovy.
Yeah.
Is just my blood is boiling from
Yeah.
that sentence. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. It
Yeah.
sounds
Well,
like it was amazing.
I wasn't finished.
Oh fucking hell! What happened now?
So I'm in the garden. I'm calling the boys. I'm listening to music.
Yeah.
Everything's bright. Amazing. But then obviously because of the time of year we're in, it gets dark earlier.
Oh.
So suddenly it's getting a little bit darker.
Mm.
At one point, my girl went inside. And so I'm outside.
Alone in the dark.
And it wasn't dark, but it was darker.
Yeah.
And it felt like she'd been, because you lose perspective of time.
Yeah.
So it felt like she'd been gone for way longer than she was actually gone.
Yeah.
She went inside to get the cat and then bring the cat outside. So I'm like there, and at one point she's not there. And I suddenly felt very aware that she wasn't there. And I felt like, oh, something's turning a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was very conscious of like, I'm not going to go into a bad
It's
trip.
very-
I'm like, no, I'm
yeah.
great. Everything's great. But I'm like aware that I'm going into a bad trip.
Yeah. It's very dependent on. It can flip if it's a flip of a coin. Like as soon
Right.
as you go, I'm on my own. Oh fuck, I'm on my own, and it just goes. That's
Exactly,
it, yeah.
exactly.
It's very quick to
and
do
so
that.
it was getting darker. It was getting a bit colder as well. And you know, my girl was gone, right? So I'm like, oh. Then I look at so we're in the garden. I'm looking at the doors. There's like the kind of glass doors like between the kitchen and the garden.
Yeah, I've been there. I know.
Right. So I'm looking at the doors, and the grass in front of me
Yeah.
is like waving and kind of like moving around and sinking a bit.
Yeah.
And then the door is like closing a bit. So it's like the door's shut, but it's like the top of the door is squishing the door. So it's almost like the door is slowly being squished and disappearing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to get stuck in a parallel universe, like trapped in this pocket in this garden because the door's shutting and the floor is sinking. I'm going to be stuck in the dead zone. I'm going to die. I'm this one. So I was like, babe, and she didn't reply. And then like a few more seconds, and I was like, babe, and she didn't reply. And then it's like the door's getting smaller. I'm like, oh, and I was about to get up, and then she came around. She came around in the kitchen, and I could see her again, and she had the cat, and she came out, and I was like, come, and she was like, hey, I brought that, and I was like, I need you here right now. And then she was playing with the cat a bit, and I was like, okay, might need to go inside. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So we go inside.
Just picturing you holding a hand, just like a fucking retard.
Yeah. But then we go inside, and now it's like we're inside now. And I could see it was darker out at the windows. So now it feels even weirder. And like I went to pee and the bathroom looked scary. So I went in the living room and we're in the living room area.
Peed in there.
No, I went in the living room and I'm on the couch. And then I started to go down a little bit. And then it was like, it started to get a bit scary. And then next thing you know, like she's making me feel better. She's like, it'll be okay. But like it's now getting worse. And now it's like really kicking in. And now I'm like, next thing you know, I'm in a bad trip. Like I'm hardcore in a bad trip.
Panicking.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this is bad. When I would close my eyes, it was 10 times more intense.
Yeah.
And it was like all the trippy stuff. But then when I opened my eyes, it was like everything was altered. So it felt distorted. Like the idea of going in the hallway was scary.
Yeah.
I was like, no, not going to stay right here. I felt really cold. So she was putting blankets on me.
Oh my God.
Dude, it was horrible.
That's bad, by the way.
Horrible.
The blankets is
horrible.
You don't want to raise the body temperature, I don't think.
Okay, well, I was cold.
Yeah.
So I was fucking sweating bullets. I was probably really cold. So anyway, so I was having a really bad time. She's like making me feel better. And she's, again, this is why I was like, even though I'm having the bad trip, I was like, I'm so glad I did this with her because she put up with me entirely.
Yeah.
I was like, like at one point she looked at her phone to change the song and I was like, you're not looking at me. She's like, hey, I'm here. And she turned, she was like looking at me.
If it was me and you and one of us had a bad trip,
Yeah.
the other one would be laughing in the other one's face and just being like, you're gay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it would be good.
Are you coming to terms with your latent homosexuality? What's going on here? But she was, if I was cold, she put a blanket on me. She was like, do you want me to get anything? I'm like, no, don't leave. She's like, I'm not leaving. And she held my hand really funny. She was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not tripping. So I'm right here and I can tell you are going to be fine.
Yeah.
But she's like, you can't fight it. You just have to let it wash over you.
You have to let it flow.
Because it will pass. And I know it's hard, but it will pass. You are okay.
Yeah.
And that was like really helpful. But in the moment, I was still like, oh no, God. And like you look away and at one point I look back and she's right there in my face.
Yeah.
But the distortion it was horrible.
You're in your own head as well. That's the thing. I've had similar things. It's like externally, it's like you hear that and you're like, no. Like it's almost like two voices. Like one of them's like, yeah, no, she's right. I need to just let it flow and relax. But then there's that other voice where it's just like, yeah, no, but my heart's pounding out my chest. I feel like I'm gonna fucking die right now. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm having a proper panic attack now. I'm like, and also it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna have a heart attack. It's like I'm gonna get stuck in this weird reality. My brain's gonna be broken. I'm gonna be the guy that does it and never recovers and blah blah blah. One of my
I'm gonna be the one guy.
yeah. I'm gonna be that newspaper kid thing. That's what I'm gonna be. One of my friends told me, he was like, I like to have Valium on hand, so I have a parachute. So if it gets too bad for whatever reason, I can just pop that and I'll be okay.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
I've never done it before, but he recommended it, and I was having such a bad time that I was like, she was like, do you want the Valium? And I was like, yep, give me the Valium. So I had a bit of Valium, and it was funny because she gave me a bit of Valium, and I was like, okay, and then like. It was like, she was like, I'm giving you a really small bit. Cause I know you've never done it before, but don't worry. There's no risk. You'll be absolutely fine, but we'll just take the edge off. And I was like, okay. So I did a bit of Valium. And then I was like 10 seconds later, I must have still been like, yeah, because I'm really, and then she was like, okay, baby, just take this. And she just gave me a bit more Valium because she was like, okay, he clearly needs a bit more.
That's hilarious.
And then I started getting really tired and it was intense, but then eventually the Valium kicked in. And then the one thing that saved me was Little Mix. Little Mix came on the speaker, shout out to my ex, and it was just hitting different for some reason. And I was just like...
Are you a fan?
I like 2 songs by Little Mix. I like Touch.
Well, how's that go? Give me a little...
Just a touch of your love is enough
to get me out of my feet. Yeah, that's
my guilty pleasure song.
That's a tune.
Little Mix is kind of my guilty pleasure. I can't lie.
That's a tune.
But and so Shout Out to My Ex came on, but Shout Out to My Ex has a very upbeat major progression chord pattern. So it's very like you know. So it felt very uplifting, and I was like, it just came on randomly, and I was like, okay, that's good. So I started to feel better, and I was like, I think I'm gonna be okay. She's like, yeah, you're coming out of it, this bad part now. And then I was like, can you just keep playing that? She's like, I'll put it on repeat. So just shout out to my ex.
Fuck's sake, Ollie.
It's just
You're
playing.
joking me.
It was just playing on repeat. And she was like, do you want to play something else? I'm like, let's just do shout out to my ex again. I think I'll be okay. That's all that would be okay. Because I'm in a state where like, when the music stopped, I'm like, there's no music. Why is
You
there no
need some
music?
consistency. That's what it is. You
Yeah.
need. It's that was the constant that was making you feel better. And as soon as that disappears, you're like, everything's fucked again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And then I came out of it, and then I felt good again. And then we had a really amazing chat where we were just listening to music
Yeah.
for ages, and I felt good
it's
again. And I was
making me
like,
want
"That's
to do
great."
it, man. I want to fucking get back on those
Dude, it was
bitches.
great. And even in spite of that, I would do it again. I think next time I'd only do 1 gram.
Yeah.
Because I think George said he reckons the thing that got me fucked up was the fact that I did 2, and also because I topped up for the second.
Yeah,
He said sometimes when you're coming up on, he's obviously done a lot of drugs. I haven't.
Yeah.
I've done like Mandy a few times, Ket once or twice, but he was like years ago, like a decade ago.
Yeah.
But he was saying like typically what happens is if you're doing drugs and then like if you do like 2 grams in one go, you'll feel whatever. But if you do 1 gram and then you do another gram later, it's almost like, I don't know if it's a placebo thing, but it hits you harder.
I also think that these things are just unavoidable sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Like I think what it is that you had that weird moment where you were on your own and it started to get darker.
Yeah.
That is gonna set you off. I
Yeah.
also think that you'd never done it before. And
Yes.
now that you've done it, it's like anything, experience is like very comforting.
100%.
Because even like in comedy, you relate it back to that. Like if you start bombing, you go, okay, well I've done this before. I know what is.
Yeah.
I know how bad this can get.
100%.
Even if you do it again and you do go into a bad trip, you go, well, I survived it last time, so I know I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
That is almost the unknown of just like, yeah, but I really think I'm gonna die right now because
Right.
I don't know. I've never done this before. So
Yeah.
I think those things are just because
And I felt, by the way, really, once I came out of it, I felt this massive sigh of relief, sort of like I'd weathered the storm. And actually, they say there's been some studies that show that like it's really good for couples, like closeness and like intimacy with couples and like the bonding of couples because you're kind of, it makes you more sensorially kind of receptive and
Yeah.
you're more open and more loving and stuff. But also having been through that experience with my girl and her kind of like shepherding me through that
Yeah.
and being there, I felt really connected to her and I felt like, wow, this is really great.
Yeah.
And actually, I felt really glad that it happened, even though it was horrible in the moment. Oh, by the way, at one point, when I was really deep in the bad part, I remember thinking I made a big mistake. I remember thinking, I wonder how long it's been. So that way, I'm probably near the end. Because it feels like it's been like 3 or 4 hours.
That's not good.
So
yeah.
I went, I'm sure it's been 3 or 4 hours. I'll look at my watch.
1 hour.
And I'll be like, I'll see that it's been 4 hours. And I'll be like, okay, it'll be over soon. I took it at 1:42. So it probably, just 1:45. I looked at my watch, it was like 4. And I was like, it's been 2 hours. And I was like, I might have 3-4 hours left of this. And I was like, fuck.
Never a good
and I'm in
idea.
the worst part. So now I'm like, I'm stuck in this alternative route. I'm in hell, I'm in purgatory. Oh my God. And then I was like, can you take my watch off? Just take it and put it somewhere so I can't look at it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, really glad I went through that part and really glad that I did it. And I had an afterglow. And I went and did a gig after. I went to Mode.
You did a gig after?
I did a gig.
What, and you felt completely normal?
I was still like tingling. I was still a bit like, I had an afterglow. I felt good, but I was super like with it, sense-wise. I was driving. So
I was just about to say that. I didn't want to graft you up.
Yeah, I flew there on my magic carpet. Allegedly, I drove there. But what's interesting is I felt like an afterglow, but I just had this weird artistic thing of like, I just felt like I want to do my art. I just felt this really overpowering feeling of like, I feel really good. I feel very creative. All my inhibitors are open. I'm like, I want to do my art. And I knew there was a gig and I knew I could get on. And I was like, fuck it, babe, I don't want to leave, but can I go do a spot? And she was like, yeah, go for it. So I just went and did my spot and then came back and had the night in. But yeah, so all in all, there was a really, and she said after when I was coming out of the bad bit and I was more lucid, she was like, by the way, that bit when you were really going through it, that really bad bit, she was like, that was only about 20 minutes. It wasn't very long.
I know, trust me. That is the. So okay, is that the story?
That's the story.
I'm
yeah.
gonna rebuttal here. I'm gonna go back at you. So first of all, you are not stupid enough to do drugs. You're too intelligent, because as soon as you start going purgatory alternate realities, it's game over.
George said that.
Someone like George is a bit of a retard, okay? So he can do drugs and he just goes, I don't feel good. And I'm a little bit like this. We're too anxious. We're too we have a little bit too much.
George actually does have a lot of that.
No, George is
very thick, but George is very wise.
No, George is very smart.
He's very intellectual in the sense that he thinks he's like an ogre
Yeah.
and a complete swamp monster.
Yeah.
but he's actually very smart. So he would also have, but he said the same thing. He was like, I have friends where when they do drugs, they're not burdened by the big questions of like, well, what if this is actually reality and if there's someone control? He's like, they're just being like, oh look, the leaf is bright blue.
George is very smart in terms of like he reads a lot and stuff. He's very clever, but George has a bit of a simplistic thing in life, right? That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the thing of just like, I don't care. I'm gonna be fine. With his whole situation, I don't give a fuck. I'm fine. Me and you are on the other side, and you're even more on this side than me, I think. Yeah, and but even like you frame words like purgatory. Yeah. That's too much. I don't know what it means. You know what I'm saying? I know what it means. I know what it means. It's a bit between heaven and hell. But I was doing it for the bit. But I'm saying, like, I have friends. They don't know what purgatory means. Right. So if they do mushrooms, they don't go, I'm in an alternate reality. They just go, oh fuck me, that grass is green. Do you know what I mean? We're too smart. We're too deep in thought.
Well, let's not overplay because we're setting ourselves up to be completely destroyed.
No, I know. But
the thing is, we're just too fucking smart for this shit. You know, when we do drugs, it's not like when all the peasants do drugs. When we do it, you guys wouldn't really understand. We're sort of not gods, but we're basically sort of higher level beings,
higher thinkers.
And it's not that you're not; it's just that you're scum, and your kind wouldn't understand.
But you see what I'm saying, though. Like the fact that you go into the alternate reality. Yeah. Again, I've got a lot of friends. They don't know what that means. Okay. Right. So, and I'm potentially one of those people. Okay. Right. So that's my first thing. My second thing is you came to a gig after, and you said to me. Okay, just for context, for the 3 people that watch these in this entirety, the last episode you did a 20-minute monologue on how much you love cigarettes, right?
Yes.
You remember that, don't you?
I remember that.
You remember that, don't you?
Yeah.
And then he turns up to Backstreet.
That was the day after.
The day after, and I go, oh shit, I'm like, oh, you're right, yeah.
Not the day after the pod. So we did the pod last week. Yeah. I went on a 20-minute rant about how much I love cigarettes. Yeah. And then this week, I did the shrooms on Tuesday and then met you at the gig on Wednesday. Yeah, and again, I want to really fucking hammer this home. That was a passionate monologue. It was. It wasn't like I like cigarettes. You were giving me Hitler vibes. It was like a real propaganda for cigarettes. Like, and in Deutschland, you were like really trying to bring them round. Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a Marlboro Red sponsorship from that fucking little segment. Yeah,
okay?
I'll take it as well.
Yeah, I'll fuck it. Well, yeah, free snap. Yeah.
Right. Free snap.
Brilliant.
That's great.
Right, so what I'm saying is you did this, right? So again, let's paint. He's very passionate about cigarettes. Yeah. I see him on Wednesday. I knew that he'd done the mushrooms, but I kind of had forgotten because we didn't really talk about it. And then he goes, we're all having a cigarette. And I can't remember how it come up, but I think I asked you for a lighter or something. And you go, or someone said, you want a cigarette? And you went, nah, I haven't smoked since I did the shrooms, right? Which was less than 24 hours before this. So instantly, because by the way, this has somehow become our dynamic. I didn't think this was our dynamic. It's me getting pissed off at you. I didn't think, when we agreed to do this
I didn't think that either.
I didn't think it.
And it's really funny because I thought that the other day. It's funny how it has transpired like that.
And it's natural.
It's totally natural.
Because you just piss me off sometimes, right? That's what I was saying, right? Yeah. So he goes, and this is the other thing as well. I feel like everyone else kind of lets you slide with these things sometimes, but I can't because it fucking... So he goes, nah. And it was so dramatic. He goes, nah, I haven't smoked a cigarette since the shrooms. I go, oh, what? Yeah, fucking yesterday, 24 hours ago. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, since I did it, just haven't had the urge. And then I go, oh, so you're that guy now. You're the guy that, because you just have to you can't just do the drug and move on. It has to be a thing where you do the drug and it changes your life drastically. So that fucking pissed me off. Then he pulls out a vape. We went on a fucking half an hour rampage about how vape is fucking stupid, right? Then I called her the next day. I go, you had a cigarette? Oh yeah, but this morning. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? That was brilliant. Yeah, that was brilliant. But you're such an elephant pant wearing guy. I know, and you know what it is? I know you don't really want to be.
No, I don't at all.
But you are, and I just want you to know that deep down in your heart, just like I don't want to be a scumbag.
Yeah,
but deep down, I am. Yeah,
deep down, you're never getting a loan. You know,
I actually checked my credit score the other day, and it was in the orange.
Not applicable.
It was in the orange. That's what I was saying. It was in the orange.
Fuck.
But okay. Brilliant. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've got a couple of stories. So I did mushrooms when I was in Thailand. They're very big over there. They do the drinks.
So
and
you
stuff.
did mushrooms before me, and you went to Thailand, and I've never been.
Yeah.
Let's just get that out there.
But
I'm the elephant pants wearing
but
guy,
can we
right?
say this? I didn't buy elephant pants over there.
I don't even own elephant. I've never had elephant
But
pants.
if you went to Thailand,
no, I wouldn't.
I'm pretty sure you'd come back with a pair.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm pretty
you
sure
know what
you-
I come back with? A pair of fucking brasses, dude.
Yeah, no, you know what you come back with?
Yeah.
Dreadlocks. That's the kind of guy you are.
I
You
would
come
not
back.
come back with
You come
dreadlocks.
back with dreadlocks, elephant pants, and flip flops, and you'd say you'd say things like groovy.
No.
That's what you would do. Okay, let's. You know I got you there with that one. You know I
Dude,
did.
groovy, I would say groovy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be wearing elephant pants and I wouldn't get dreadlocks. I don't have a trust fund.
I know.
I'm poor.
I know.
My
I know.
name, I was going to say a name, then it says someone you know. Yeah. I was gonna be like, my name is not there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
No, I know, but
Also, I've grown up in Grove. I'm aware of, like, I'm not like some guy who's grown up in a mansion
No,
in Surrey.
I
It's like,
know.
well, dreadlocks technically could be. I'm not going to do that.
no, I know. I
Also,
know.
by the way, I grew out this hair because I was a metalhead when I was a kid. I always wanted to have long hair because I love like 80s bands and shit. I always loved that look. This wasn't like oh yeah, man, let's fucking grow up. Man. I was like, fuck it, let's just try it. It'll be cool. It's kind of rock and roll, whatever.
Yeah.
But I've never been to Bali. I've never been to Thailand.
Yeah.
I've never done
can't
psychedelics
afford it,
before
huh?
this week. What?
You can't afford it. What?
Can't afford it. No, I can't. No, I can't afford it. No, I can't afford it.
I'm joking. No,
can't afford it.
can I just say, I know you're not that guy, but I just think there is a little 1% of you that has that in you, and I know you don't want it, but it's there. And I have similar things.
I get it, by the way, when I say things like, oh yeah, I've stopped wearing underwear and shit. And
Yeah.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah, it's actually better for your
Yeah.
fucking, like, I definitely
By
have.
the way, that's part of why I love you, because
Because
it brings entertainment to me as
Yeah.
well, right? It brings when you go, haven't wanted a cigarette since this is
Yeah.
the truth. That made me laugh.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
loved
yeah.
it. But
I loved how much it pissed you off as well. I love just winding you up and then just putting the wind up to on the floor and watching it.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's like. It's like one of those little wind-up little toys you get in like a little gift shop that you see in like a random town.
Right, let's get
It's
rid
like
of
a
the
little
little-
dinosaur.
let's get rid of the little
No,
toy,
but it's
yeah?
a teeny
Yeah.
tiny toy, right? And it's got a teeny cock on it as well. And you just get this little dinosaur and you go, and you put it on the floor and it goes,
My fucking credit score, give us a snap.
you know.
no, but I was
Okay,
actually
so you were doing shrooms in Thailand.
I was doing Thailand, but I will say as well, the dynamic of this show has developed very nicely.
being
because-
very generous with the word show.
Yeah, okay, whatever. The fucking.
Yeah. We've got, although we have floor.
We've
padding
got
now.
foam padding on the floor, kind of.
We need to order more. We've got more on the
Yeah,
way.
it's
But,
like fucking a gym in here now. We can
it's
wrestle
shaping-
in here.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, get the fist.
Wouldn't want to do that to you, right? Wouldn't want to do that to you, right? But yeah, you got the vibe of the show.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this whole dynamic we've got going on is not what I expected.
Me
Because
neither.
before we got this close, I thought it was a very much like because we are very similar,
Yeah.
but we're also very different.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at the time, but now it's a
You
lot.
thought it was going to be a vibe, which I also did, which is us kind of being kind of bro-ish and
Yeah.
being like fucking like, yeah, dude, I fucking, and we're just
Yeah.
talking about bits and being like
Yeah.
fucking cracking wisecracks.
Yeah.
But then because as we've got even closer,
Yeah.
we're already close.
Yeah.
As we're even closer,
Yeah.
it has now transpired that it's like, it's a hilarious dynamic.
Yeah, it's a lot of
And it's
me
way more watchable, I think.
It's a lot of me shouting at you. And
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be that, but it is what it is.
And
And
me pointing out all of your horrible flaws, like, you know, how racist and homophobic and
Oh
everything
my
you are.
god.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
I guess. So.
anyway, so you were being homophobic in Thailand.
You need to stop throwing this shit on me because it's fine now. No one watches, but
Yeah.
if the miracle happens and
Yeah.
I make it comedy,
Yeah.
this is not gonna look good for me.
Is that a flying pig? Yeah, go on. Nah, you'll make it. You'll make it. You'll lose it all.
No, I will. I'll make it. I'll lose. I don't care if I lose. I don't care. I just
you
want
have to get to the top of the mountaintop to tumble all the way down.
It's better to have had love and lost than to
Exactly.
never had it at all. Right.
Okay. Wow.
That sounds like something you'd say after
It
fucking
does.
a little session on the
It
shrooms. Yeah,
does.
but let me get back to this
It does.
groovy story. I did shrooms and mushrooms. I did shrooms and mushrooms. I did shrooms in Thailand, and I was drunk as well. So I didn't feel the full effect,
Right.
but I did feel it. Right. So this was the best moment of my life by far. I did the shrooms. Was at a full moon party.
I've heard about this. Is that in Koh Samui or?
It was Koh Phangan.
Koh
It's
Phangan.
shit. It's
Yeah.
shit. What?
No, nothing. Go on.
No, what?
No, I can't. I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, you can.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Go on.
Well, I feel like it was gonna be racist or something. What was it? What?
Dude, why does your mind always go to
No.
race?
You I just said a name of a place
It's
in
just
Thailand.
like it's always on your mind.
I just said a name of a place in Thailand. You went, huh.
Jesus, man. No, you said the full moon party.
Okay.
Don't replay the event. That's weird.
Nah,
way of doing
you
this.
know,
You're being weird. Just
fuck
tell,
off,
just tell the
fucking hate
story.
when you do this.
Tell the story.
Okay, so I do. The
That's also a
shrooms.
big part of the show, me gaslighting you. isn't
Yeah, it really is as
Great
well.
part
It
of the show.
really
One of my
is.
favorites.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I do the shrooms. I'm walking around. I'm drunk. I'm just having a good time anyway.
Yeah.
Didn't really think much of it. Then actually a guy walks past in green elephant pants, and they were shining like nuclear Simpson shit. Like it was
Nuclear,
glowing. Yeah.
Nuclear, right?
I said nuclear, no?
No, you said nuclear. But that's fine. That's
Play it back, Barney. Play it back. I'm pretty sure I said nuclear.
It's gonna be really. Yeah, you said it. You said it again.
Nuclear.
Yeah, you just did it again.
What are you nuclear?
There you go.
What am I saying?
Nuclear.
Nuclear? Oh, it's okay. All right, whatever, man. Whatever. Nuclear. Fuck. Why am I having a brain fart on that?
Because you're stupid. I don't know.
No,
but,
nuclear. Nuclear.
no, that's
Nuclear.
wrong.
Yeah, it's
There you go.
nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear
You're having a
power
stroke.
plant.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this guy walks past with these elephant pants.
It's glowing, it's amazing, whatever. So I'm in the thing. It's really cool. We go to the pier to go back to the other island where we're staying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but basically, I don't want to do a whole thing about it, but getting to the party island was a nightmare because there was about genuinely 800 people trying to get on one boat at a time. So I was on this beach for an hour and a half fighting Indian guys from Australia, guys from up north. I'm literally like fucking kicking people out of the way, trying to.
Going to the UK or what? What's
I didn't have my passport with me. No, I'm fucking literally.
none of them do, right?
So me and my boy, I swear, we're literally we're kicking people out of the way. We're trying to get on this boat. We were there for an hour and a half. Look, the one boat comes. We're like, if I don't get on this, I'm going home because it's ridiculous. I've been here for an hour and a half. It's late. I'm tired. So we I elbow a fucking Indian guy in the head. I fucking kick some New Zealand cunt in his neck.
yeah.
I jump on the boat. We get on the boat. We get there. Great. So we come back to the pier and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be the same shit. And I'm on mushrooms and I can't bother to fucking be fighting people to get home, right?
Right.
So some little Thai guy comes over to me, goes, I can't do a Thai accent. It was gonna be bad. He's like, hello, Kawani. He's like, you want to come home? I was like, yeah, what's the guy? He's like, we have private boat. I'm like, all right, sweet, we're going to private boat. Yeah, how much? He tells me the price is like £20 or something, because obviously everything over there is cheap. So I'm like, yeah, sweet, come here, mate. I've got him in a headlock. I'm fucking, I'm giving him a noogie. I'm like, come on, bro, let's go. I grab all my mates. They're like, no. 2 or 3 of my friends are terrified of the ocean. It's 5 a.m, pitch black. So I'm on shrooms. So I'm like, come on, man, we'll swim back, fuck it. So I'm just being a cunt. We go around the corner with this guy. He takes us to what I can only describe as a rubber dinghy with an engine. It was like, it wasn't really rubber. It was like a wooden kayak looking thing with an engine.
Right.
This boat was fucked, yeah. But I'm on shrooms, I'm drunk, so I'm full of confidence. I'm normally kind of, cautious about things like that. But I'm like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So we get on the boat. 13-year-old pilot in the boat. No joke. 13-year-old kid, right?
He's got a family to feed, hasn't he? So.
Exactly. So we get on the boat. He starts the engine.
He's like smoking a cigarette.
He's smoking a cigarette.
Right.
When I got on the other boat, like the legit boat with actual like safety measures, I go to get on the boat with a cigarette. The guy goes, "You'll kill us all. Like you'll blow up the engine. No cigarettes." He fucking Muay Thai kicked me in the neck. He's like, fuck off. So I've got on this boat. I pulled out a cigarette. I'm looking at the little 13-year-old, like, tentatively, like, is he going to hit me or something? He goes, lighter. He gives me a lighter. So we're all just smoking cigarettes on the boat. We're out in the middle of the ocean. It's fucking pitch black.
I would be, dude, if I was on shrooms,
Bro.
I would be...
Pitch black.
Yeah, I would be terrified. I don't know why you have all this confidence. I'm thinking that, how did you not get into a bad trip when it's pitch black in the middle of the
Because
fucking ocean?
but I had the loosen inhibitions of the alcohol,
of course,
right?
yeah.
So I'm like, let's fucking go.
Right,
but I've got the ups of the shrooms, right? So I'm in a good place. So we get on the boat, pitch black. One 13-year-old guy, one fucking like 16-year-old guy. We're in the middle of the ocean. I can't see island anywhere, right? My boy is literally in tears. He's like, no, we're gonna die. Like, we're gonna die. What if this? But and I'm just going, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. And then I just turn around, and look back, and be like, we're gonna fucking die. I'm just winding him up, right? We in the middle of the ocean. I'm gonna show you the picture now as well. We get middle of the ocean. The sun comes up. I'm on shrooms. Peaceful, bro. It was the best moment of my life. I'm looking at the water. The water's glistening. It was like fucking. I got to show you this. This was the best moment of my life. Barney, I'll send this to you. Oh, my phone's dead. Fuck. All right, I'll show it to you after. The ocean is fucking glistening. I'm like leaning back on this boat. The guy's going, no, sit in the seat. I'm going, fuck you, you little time bastard. I'm laying on the boat. I'm just loving life. And then I got back to we stayed in this beautiful villa, and we walk in, and there's like an infinity pool with a view of the ocean. And I just sat there, and it was like, wow. That's the colors, the sea breeze. It was amazing. Me and my other boy, he's a bit of we were like, come on, we want to jump in the ocean. He's going, you fucking crazy sharks. We're going, fuck off. But yeah, shrooms are amazing visually. That's what I found. When I was looking at the ocean, I'll show you the video. Even in a video, it's beautiful.
And just how you felt.
Oh man, it was incredible.
I've heard of a thing called, one of my friends did this years ago when I was in high school, called a candy trip, where you do shrooms and Molly. And apparently that's like
insane.
I can't imagine being on Molly and on shrooms having felt, because when I was on shrooms it felt like Molly.
Yeah.
But
it's the same. I done Dizzle quite a bit when I was younger.
I remember calling it Dizzle.
Yeah.
We called it Dizzle when I was in high school, but no one calls it Dizzle. It was Dizzle, and then it was Dizzle MD, and then it was Mandy.
Diz.
And Diz, but Diz, it was Dizzle MD, Dizzle. It was Dizzle MD, Mandy. Then it was like Molly. Molly's the generation after.
Molly's like a bit American as well.
Yes, I think it's the younger generation.
I've
got to go to a spot.
Oh, okay.
I know. What, did you have something serious you were gonna say? You got something?
No, I was just gonna do another fucking like weird story, but it was just going to sister's probably not that great.
Okay, yeah, probably right. So let's.
What time just? Oh shit, you gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go.
All right, you do make mushrooms sound good though. I really want to do them. I think we should do them together. I'm ready to do them together. I'm ready to sit in this room.
Well, no, gee.
With the camera and the lights on.
I did think at one point it would be crazy to do a pod on shrooms.
That would be mad.
I feel like that feels like an obvious bro-y thing to say. Like, dude, we should do it on shrooms. But I do feel like,
well, it won't be unreleased because you'll be, all the racial slurs you say off camera. But what I'm saying is we should just do it just for fun so we can watch it back.
Well, yeah, but I think it'd be fun to release it.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be fucking sick?
Yeah, but you say a lot,
What?
How you feel about all those people.
Which people?
The Jews and stuff.
Why? Dude, why are you making it racist? This is really weird.
I love everyone.
I didn't even bring it up that time.
No, but I'm saying
went straight there.
No, because I don't,
You're projecting like, oh, you say slurs.
You do.
All right. Look, I'm going to leave this getting uncomfortable, but you obviously have a lot of stuff you need to deal with.
You are so good at that, you are really good at that.
What?
Flipping the script.
Yeah.
You're very good at that, I will say.
And hey, dude, you're really good at, I'm looking at this is not quite, if I take this over here, this is more of a towel than a rug, but the stitching you've done on that is absolutely, no, but I'm saying that's craftsmanship.
I know,
right there. You should be
Egyptian cotton.
Yeah, you should be really proud of yourself.
I am.
And you earned every penny of that 50p. Well done. Anyway, look, that's been great. Subscribe, like, comment, all that
do
shit.
Shrooms.
Do
Thanks,
shrooms.
guys.
Don't do shrooms, but also if you want to expand your mind and have a good time, then I guess.
Do
But also, don't if you're a kid, don't ever do drugs or anything. But
But smoke.
But don't smoke. Not if you're a kid. No. If you're a kid,
if you're a kid, smoke. Do shrooms.
No, if you're a kid, don't
suck
do
ass
anything.
and eat pussy and do it all. Live life.